I have here our 2016 Rousten Cabernet Franc, which is part of the Historic Vineyard Series selection of the 2016 vintage. And this block is growing right below the tasting room, so it's about 2,100 feet of elevation. It's actually an old historic site where the Rousten family was farming grapes back in the early 1900s. But of course, during Prohibition, the vineyard was let go and their wine operation closed. So it sat basically abandoned as a vineyard site until we picked up the land in the mid-2000s and restored it back to vineyard. We took this one section of that land and planted Cab Franc. We had at Montebello already a Cabernet Franc block growing at the top of the vineyard up by the winery at 2,700 feet. And that block over the years, it's gone into Montebello about 50% of the time. It's kind of always been subject to the extremes of the climate being at the top of the mountain. So if it was a cool year, the grapes would barely ripen. Luckily, what we have here at this lower elevation is a better protected site where it doesn't take on so much of the heavy wind off the Pacific, so that it actually is warm enough to ripen. So in 2016, as we fermented out the blocks, did our tasting for the selection for Montebello, we found 8 barrels worth of this Franc that we wanted to bottle on its own as a great example of this beautiful variety. I mean, this is kind of the king of grapes. You know, it's the father of Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a very important grape to Bordeaux historically, and in California, not so much. I mean, Cabernet Sauvignon is still the dominant of the Bordeaux varieties planted in terms of acreage, but what we have here at Montebello now in this newer block is a truly amazing selection of Cab Franc that produces a wine as powerful as Cabernet Sauvignon. And it's the aromatic grape of that whole Bordeaux family. It's got a Zinfandel-like kind of exotic fruit. You know, you get hints of juniper and some really beautiful savory herbs to match with that rich kind of briary fruit. Cabernet Franc, compared to Cabernet Sauvignon, tends to be a little bit more elegant, a little bit rounder tannins. But what we've found with this block here and that selection of Cab Franc that we put into the ground there is it can actually produce a Cab Franc with a lot of weight, really rich tannin structure. And that's exactly what we have achieved in this year's selection. Really beautiful flavors. Oh, it's a wonderfully delicious Cab Franc. And so we held out 8 barrels from the Montebello so that we could be able to showcase this beautiful variety growing on the Montebello terroir. I hope you enjoy it as much as I am enjoying it right now. This is fantastic wine.